For decades, people looked into the night sky believing humanity held dominion over Earth. They thought borders, militaries, and governments mattered. They assumed power came from weapons, economies, and alliances. What they never understood was that all of this, every structure, every plan, every illusion of control, crumbles instantly the moment a superior intelligence decides to move. And when that intelligence arrives, it doesn't announce itself with light or sound or chaos. It arrives the way all higher predators do, silently observing, calculating, and then, without warning, striking with precision so perfect that humans cannot even understand what happened. If extraterrestrials choose to invade Earth, the first blow is never aimed at humanity in general. It is aimed directly at the United States. Because the United States is not just a country, it is the planet's nervous system. And a nervous system, once severed, brings the entire body down with it. Tonight, we explore the most accurate, the most grounded, the most terrifying what-if scenario ever constructed. What would actually happen if aliens invaded the United States? The United States controls the planet's digital heartbeat. Nearly all global GPS signals are routed through American systems. Major sections of world internet infrastructure, cloud networks, military-grade communication lines, and financial data centers rely on U.S.-controlled satellites and fiber networks. If you want to neutralize Earth, you must neutralize the United States. America is also home to the largest concentration of advanced radar installations on the planet. Missile warning systems in Alaska, intercontinental tracking centers in California, and deep space surveillance nodes in Colorado give the United States the most complete picture of anything entering or leaving Earth's orbit. If an extraterrestrial civilization wants to disable the global defense grid, it needs to blind these systems first. But there is a deeper reason, a psychological one. Humanity's perception of order is anchored to the United States. If the U.S. collapses, global stability collapses with it. Markets freeze, governments panic, military alliances disintegrate. The world enters disarray before a single shot is fired. For an invading intelligence, the United States is not merely a strategic target. It is the key to breaking the spirit of the entire species. It begins not with a visible ship, but with a distortion, high above the Pacific Ocean, far beyond the range of civilian detection aircraft pilots flying west toward Hawaii. Notice their navigation systems drifting by 1 or 2 degrees. Not enough to concern anyone, yet, but inside NORAD, the radar screens flicker. Briefly, a single frame of static, then normal. Technicians assume a software glitch. It isn't minutes later, seismographs along the entire West Coast register a micro vibration, subtle enough that human senses miss it, but strong enough to ripple through the ionosphere. Faint, shimmering patterns appear in the sky, visible only to military-grade cameras. The atmosphere vibrates again. Something is interacting with it, but there is no heat signature, no object, no trajectory, because whatever is arriving doesn't travel through space the way humans understand it. And then, all at once, the signal hits. The collapse begins. Minute 0 to minute 5, minute 0. At 8:14 p.m. Pacific Time, every GPS device west of Denver jumps at the exact same millisecond. Planes veer slightly off course, drones drop altitude, ships drift off position. Minute 1. Cell towers in Los Angeles begin malfunctioning. People assume it's a power issue. But when they check their phones, the time is wrong. Every digital clock shows a different timestamp. Minute 2. Commercial satellites start going offline one by one, not destroyed, just silent. The global internet backbone begins to fracture. Banks lose sync. Trading networks stall. Digital locks freeze. Minute 3. In the Pentagon, communications officers watch as every secure channel attempts to reconnect simultaneously. Something is overriding their entire encryption system. Minute 4. A faint hum rolls across the Pacific coastline. Not a sound exactly, more like pressure shifting. People report ear pain, dogs howl, birds scatter. Minute 5. The first city lights flicker. San Diego, San Francisco, Sacramento, Los Angeles. Not a full blackout yet, but the grid is struggling to understand what is happening. And at that moment, the United States government knows the truth. This is not a malfunction. This is not a cyber attack. This is something far worse. The invisible arrival. Minute 5 to minute 20. Every radar system in North America suddenly receives the same return. A massive object, stationary, 60 miles above the Pacific Ocean. But the moment the system tries to lock onto it, the signal bends, refracts, disappears. The object is not invisible, it is bending detection itself. Military analysts try to measure its size. Estimates come back inconsistent. 1.2 miles wide, 3 miles wide, 11 miles wide. The readings fluctuate because the craft is surrounded by a distortion field that warps electromagnetic waves. Then, one by one, other returns appear. A second object over Nevada, a third west of Seattle, a fourth over Baja California. But these aren't ships in the conventional sense. Their edges are not defined. Their signatures don't match anything physical. They exist like a gravitational glitch, something too massive to ignore, but too foreign to comprehend. And then the distortion spreads. The sky darkens, not like a storm, but like something is absorbing light itself. Los Angeles falls into an unnatural twilight, car alarms trigger. Power grids attempt to reroute. People step outside, pointing at the sky, trying to record on their phones, only to realize their cameras cannot focus. Something above them is interfering with reality itself. Minute 20 to 60, the United States loses control. Minute 20, the FAA grounds every aircraft in U.S. airspace. Pilots are instructed to land immediately, but GPS is unstable, radar is blind, airports are overwhelmed. Minute 25. The president is moved to a continuity of government facility, deep beneath Colorado. This protocol is only activated in the event of nuclear war. Minute 30. Major cities from San Diego to Portland lose all power. Hospitals switch to emergency generators which fail. Moments later, digital infrastructure collapses. Minute 32, 911 stops working. Police radios emit static. Fire departments cannot dispatch. Cities become silent. Minute 40, traffic crashes. People abandon cars. Highways turn into frozen rivers of metal. Minute 50, the U.S. military attempts to activate emergency communication satellites. Every satellite fails to respond. The sky is closed. Minute 55. The invading presence finally becomes visible, not through light, but through absence. A shape, miles wide, blocks out stars over the west coast. A void in the sky. A silent wound across the heavens. The United States understands that this is not a visit. It is a domination event. 6. The first strike, without a single shot. Humans expect warfare to be loud, violent, cinematic, but advanced species do not use explosions to win wars. Explosions are primitive. They damage infrastructure the conqueror might want to use. A real invasion is executed through precision. The first strike is not kinetic, it is systemic. The enemy targets communications, navigation, electricity, finance, transportation, satellites. They shut down the structures that define civilization. Only after society collapses into chaos do they make themselves seen. And when they do, fear replaces resistance. Why California falls first. California is the digital spine of the planet. Silicon Valley holds the computing centers that run global finance, cloud storage, defense algorithms, artificial intelligence labs, and the data architecture of the modern world. Disable California, and you disable Earth. This is why the first object positions itself above the Pacific coast, not to attack Los Angeles, but to cripple global civilization. The blackout is not random, it is surgical. The psychological break. Day 1, hour 1 to hour 12. Within the first hour, 40 million Americans are without electricity, but the psychological collapse begins much earlier. People turn on their TVs and see nothing. Phones show corrupted screens. Air raid sirens stall halfway through their pattern. Vehicles with electronic ignitions do not start. Millions stare into a dark horizon and feel something humanity has not felt in centuries. Powerlessness. By hour 2, supermarkets are flooded. By hour 3, fights break out. By hour 5, police departments lose control. By hour 8, city officials flee. By hour 12, Los Angeles resembles a civilization in free fall. But the invaders still haven't fired a single projectile. They don't need to. Humans are collapsing on their own. The U.S. military attempts a response. Jets scramble from inland bases where electronics are less disrupted. But upon reaching the West Coast, something happens. Aircraft computers reboot mid-flight. Missile targeting systems display blank screens. Pilots lose contact with command. Engine thrust decreases without mechanical failure. It is as if the sky itself rejects human technology. War for the United States is no longer possible. Why Washington is the second target. Once the invaders destabilize the West Coast, they turn to the one place that maintains global order. Washington, D.C. The White House loses external communication. NORAD reports impossible readings. All remaining satellites, those not disabled earlier, begin drifting into incorrect orbits. By the end of the first night, the United States government has lost communication, navigation, surveillance, global positioning power, projection, nuclear coordination. In other words, control without Washington, the world has no anchor. The illusion of safe places. People assume rural America would be safe. Montana, Wyoming, Idaho, small towns, mountains, farmland. But they misunderstand something fundamental. These places are safe in human wars, not in alien wars. You cannot hide from an intelligence that can detect heartbeat signatures, cellular vibrations, thermal gradients, atmospheric displacement from breathing, electromagnetic noise produced by the human body from orbit. To an extraterrestrial species, the human body is a beacon, a glowing signal. Impossible to hide. The idea of a safe place collapses immediately. What happens after the United States falls? Once America is silenced, the rest of the world enters panic. The global stock market collapses. International communication goes dark. Foreign militaries freeze. Satellite navigation worldwide stops functioning. Planes across the globe are forced to land. In less than 24 hours, humanity returns to a pre-technological state. And still, no weapons have been fired. The invaders simply removed humanity's ability to function. The purpose of the invasion. Humans imagine conquest as territorial, but highly advanced civilizations do not invade land. They invade capability. By the time the United States collapses, the planet becomes a silent sphere, drifting defenseless through space. Every nation is cut off, blind, and unable to coordinate. Earth is no longer a civilization. It is an object, and objects can be claimed. The final moment, when humanity understands the truth. When the second night arrives, the sky above North America looks wrong. Stars disappear behind colossal silhouettes. Cities glow faintly from remaining fires. The hum, the same low atmospheric vibration that began everything, returns. Louder this time, humanity looks up and finally sees it. The invaders were never attacking the United States. They were disabling the species. The world is not being conquered. The world is being acquired. And in that moment, when communication, power, government, and society have all collapsed, there is only one thought left in the minds of billions. We were never in control. If this scenario unfolded tomorrow, exactly as described, what would you do in the first hour? Where would you go? Who would you try to contact? How long would you survive without technology? And more importantly, do you still believe humanity owns this planet?